Ladies and gentlemen, the Indiana Pacers are not a good team, but that's about to change in the near future. With a lot of young promising talent on the team led by Tyrese Haliburton and Bennedict Mathurin, and with a lot of draft picks in the future, the Indiana Pacers are poised for success in the next decade. Let's talk about it. Now let's start off with Tyrese Haliburton, and Tyrese Haliburton is one of the most special young point guards in the league. So far, through 4 games, he's averaging 24 points per game with 10 assists on 52% shooting and 43% from 3. Now, this is only 4 games, so take it with a grain of salt. But Tyrese Haliburton has proven that he is the perfect combination for a point guard. He has a great offensive bag, and most importantly, he's an amazing facilitator and a great playmaker. And he already has such high basketball IQ in just his 3rd season in the league. And this is his first time really being the full-time point guard for a team, because with the Kings, he was coming off the bench in his rookie year, and then the 2nd season with Sacramento, for the first half of the year, he was kind of playing shooting guard next to Fox, which that's not how Haliburton's supposed to be used. And Tyrese Haliburton is showing that the Kings made a mistake trading him. And Tyrese Haliburton, we're going to talk about him as a top 5 point guard in the league for a long time. Now, Bennedict Mathurin, the 6th overall pick in this year's NBA draft, so far averaging 22 points per game on 48% shooting and 42% from 3, all coming off the bench. And Bennedict Mathurin, if you were to ask me right now, 4 games in, he is the rookie of the year. He has so much confidence for a guy only 4 games into his career. He is not afraid to shoot the 3. He will drive into the paint with no fear. He is a very confident player offensively. Sometimes defensively, it doesn't look too great, but I think he will make strides defensively, as we saw in his last season at Arizona. And he's only 20 years old. Keep that in mind. I really don't know why he isn't starting right now, but Bennedict Mathurin, with his athleticism and just his perfect combination on offense, I really think he's going to be a star in this league, especially next to a playmaker like Haliburton. Haliburton and Mathurin is a duo that will be feared in the NBA for a very long time, I guarantee it. Now, Jalen Smith, who last year was a throw-in at the trade deadline when the Pacers traded Torrey Craig to Phoenix, Jalen Smith has broken out for the Pacers as a guy that could potentially be their big man of the future. Last year, he averaged 13 points per game on 7 rebounds with the Pacers, and he showed that he is a really good modern big man, as he shot 37% from 3 last year. And the Pacers could only offer him over the offseason $5 million at most, because the Phoenix Suns declined his team option. So Jalen Smith would actually re-sign with the Pacers because he knew that they were going to utilize him the most, and he wanted to play with one of the best young point guards in the league in Tyrese Haliburton. And Jalen Smith so far is doing more of the same as he did last year, this time with 9 rebounds, 13 points on 48% shooting from the field. But Jalen Smith has shown that if he can take more strides in his game, then he could definitely be the big man of this team for the future. And in the pick and roll game with Haliburton, he looks very dangerous. So I think Jalen Smith, you can definitely see him in the next couple of years breaking out. Now, I know we all expected Chris Duarte to take those next steps into becoming a star, as he was the 13th overall pick in the 2021 draft. But so far, he's been underwhelming, as he's only averaging about 7 points per game on 31% shooting, compared to last year averaging 13 points per game on 45% shooting. But I would settle down with the Duarte hate, because Chris Duarte, as we've seen, he can bounce back from this. It's only 4 games into the season, but Chris Duarte last year, he showed that he can be a great sharpshooter for this team, and he came up clutch in some very big moments last year as a rookie. But he is a very old rookie last year, as he was 24 years old. He's 25 years old in his 2nd year. He's getting pretty close to entering his prime. He'll be in his 4th or 5th season entering his prime, which is pretty crazy. But if the Pacers want to potentially be a contending team in the next 5 years, Duarte will be hitting his stride at the perfect time. He may need to improve a little bit defensively, but still, Duarte can be a great role player for this team and maybe a little bit more than that. Now, another player I want to talk about is Andrew Nembhard from Gonzaga, a point guard coming off the bench. He's only averaging 20 minutes per game, but so far he has been in the top 20, I would say, in the Rookie of the Year running, even though he obviously won't be in the running, especially having a very limited role in this team early on. But still, I think he will be a great backup point guard for this team in the future, and I think possibly one day he could be a solid starter for a team. He's averaging 9 points per game on 41% shooting so far in just his first 3 games, and he has shown in many moments so far that he is a pretty good facilitator as well, so look out for Andrew Nembhard. Now, Isaiah Jackson, a center out of Kentucky, in his second season is averaging about 8 points per game on 50% shooting, which is about the same as he did last year. But Isaiah Jackson does a lot that the stat sheet does not show. He is a great rim protector, as he is averaging so far 2 blocks per game, and overall he is a lockdown center in the paint. Do not sleep on Isaiah Jackson. I think he could be a really good starter for another team, possibly this team, and have Jalen Smith run the 4 and have Isaiah Jackson run the 5. I think that would work very well, especially defensively. Now, the Pacers have 2 very prominent veterans on their team, Myles Turner and Buddy Hield. Myles Turner has been in trade discussions for a long time, pretty much for most of his career. And it's pretty sad to see, but Myles Turner is only 26 years old, so he could be the center of the future, but he does not want to stick around. He will not sign a contract extension. So after this year, Myles Turner will likely leave as a free agent, but the Pacers have tried to trade him to the Lakers to get Russell Westbrook and 2 unprotected first-round picks. Sharpshooter Buddy Hield, who they got in the Sabonis trade, has also been a part of these trade talks. And Buddy Hield is a great veteran for these young guards like Duarte and Mathurin, so I think it's very beneficial to have Buddy Hield on the team. But I would say after this year to cut ties with Buddy Hield via the trade market. Now, the Pacers are not going to be good this year, as they have a lot of young talent that hasn't developed yet in a very stacked Eastern Conference, but they will likely have a top 5 pick in this year's draft, and there are a lot of options, like Victor Wembanyama, and he is a great center. He can basically do it all. The only issue is that he can probably improve his strength, and there are some injury concerns, which, you know, the Pacers' history. Injuries are a problem. The Pacers did try to get a franchise center in DeAndre Ayton over the offseason. They signed him to a max contract, but the Suns matched the offer, which is very unfortunate. And getting Wembanyama would make up for that loss, but I really don't think they'll be bad enough to quite get him. Scoot Henderson is another option, but I feel like him next to Halliburton, that might not be the best fit. But Ausar and Amen Thompson, 2 twin brothers, getting one of them would be great, especially Amen Thompson. I think Amen Thompson is a better playmaker and ball handler compared to his brother. But Cam Whitmore, a freshman from Villanova, he has also looked under the radar. And I think you can put him next to Mathurin at the small forward or even the shooting guard. But you all know Villanova's reputation with freshmen, so you never know where Cam Whitmore will be come June on the draft board. Now, this time last year, the Pacers were in absolute shambles with their roster. They were very mediocre. They were stuck in mediocrity, and Kevin Pritchard finally got approval from owner Herbert Simon to pull the plug on this team and rebuild. And we could finally see that Kevin Pritchard is an amazing executive, as he was able to turn Sabonis, Lamb, and Justin Holiday into Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield, which is pretty incredible. Also being able to flip Torrey Craig for Jalen Smith, I think that's also incredible. Trading Malcolm Brogdon for Aaron Nesmith and a first-round pick this year, I think that's also a great move. And drafting Benedict Mathurin, who is going to be an all-star in the future, and getting Andrew Nembhard in the draft as well was an absolute steal. And being able to retain Jalen Smith in free agency this year, I think you can go on, and being this close to getting DeAndre Ayton in free agency, which Herbert Simon, he's known for not offering guys like huge offer sheets in free agency, but he finally was able to do it. I think this is showing that the Pacers are willing to change, and they are willing to finally grow a pair, basically, and be aggressive with this rebuild. And I love it. I think the Pacers are in for a very bright future.